Pro Volleyball Federation is real pro volleyball. Now is our time.
Central Indiana getting in on the professional women's sports movement on the volleyball court. The best of the best in bumping, setting, and spiking, preparing to dig in and make a mark in the Hoosier State. Serving it up with Indy Ignite Volleyball GM and President Mary Kay Huse. Her path from tech entrepreneur to leader of Indiana's newest women's professional sports team, the state-of-the-art venue they'll play in, and how it all adds up to a winning combination. Hello and welcome to the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. I'm Gary Dick. Fishers, Indiana, preparing to open its doors to the state's newest professional women's sports team, the Indy Ignite, Pro Volleyball Federation's most recent expansion team. It'll all happen at the new 7,500-seat Fishers Event Center, which will not only be home court for professional volleyball,
drops it off to Lemos. Left circle, one-timer score!
But also professional hockey.
Well, there's only the kicker to beat him, and this one's going to go all the way to the house.
Indoor football. And even concerts. We begin our podcast this week on Center Court in Fishers, serving it up with professional volleyball. And I'm pleased to be joined on the podcast this week by the general manager and president of Indy Ignite, the first women's pro volleyball team in Indianapolis. A lot of excitement around the franchise and what's happening. The GM and president of the franchise, Mary Kay Huse, or MK, right, Mary Kay?
Yes, thank you.
Hey, lots we can talk about. Volleyball, women's sports, really on a roll in so many ways. But your background is really interesting because you come from a technology background, an entrepreneurial background as well. And I can remember doing stories a number of years ago on a company you co-founded, Mandolin. Tell me what Mandolin was all about, because that was a really cool company.
Yes, we founded Mandolin in 2020, really in the height of the pandemic. And so it was myself and a few co-founders, as well as High Office Studio, and we were a concert live streaming platform. And we took off. We did 100 shows in our first 90 days. We did 1,000 shows in our first 18 months. And music is everything to people, and we were able to bring that show into their homes, and not like the way people were doing it on Instagram from their couch in the living room, but really highly produced shows. We're actually using even local venues. So it felt like you were really in a venue. And as touring came back, we really showed the value of the hybrid experience. So there's something really unique about seeing it in venue, but there's also something to be said about the at-home experience. Sports is a great analogy for that. Yeah. We got to have people see shows in some iconic venues that they otherwise might not have ever been able to visit. So it was a really exciting time. We were able to earn Polestar's Best Live Streaming Platform of the Year award in 2021 and had a really great run in the music industry.
Yeah, talk about some of the venues that you were able to feature, and you talk about the accolades. If I remember right, Fast Company named Mandolin most innovative music company in 2022.
That's right. Yes.
Very cool.
Yes, and Red Rocks was probably the most exciting. We really made our debut with a partnership with the Ryman, and we did a 6-week series from there. And it was fun to see because it started empty, and then as the series went on, you started to see people sitting 6 seats apart and 4 seats apart, and so really, really great. We did something from the Troubadour in LA. So like I said, very extremely iconic venues in the nation that we were able to partner with.
And really, you do have a technology background because you had spent a number of years at ExactTarget, then ultimately Salesforce. So technology is kind of in your DNA, right?
Very much so. I was actually a computer science major at DePauw in the late 90s, and was able to get lucky enough to join ExactTarget in its very early days. And so I was with ExactTarget for 9 years through our IPO and then later acquisition to Salesforce, and then stayed on at Salesforce for another 7 years.
Okay, technology entrepreneur. How did you wind up in the world of volleyball?
I was as surprised as you were there for a few months, but now it feels like I've been doing it forever. I just had the opportunity to meet Jim Schumacher and then eventually Don Hutchinson, the co-owners of the franchise. Actually got connected through our sports core, and I was interested, wanted to see how I could help. And I had been able to experience the growth of volleyball firsthand as a volleyball mom. And the clubs we have here in Central Indiana are absolutely incredible. The talent that Indiana is producing right now is very top notch. We're in all of the top teams in the country. Have Hoosier talent on their rosters. So I saw that up close and personal, and was excited to just get the chance to meet Jim and Don. And then after really one breakfast, really being able to talk in depth about the opportunity we had here, the impact on the community, what women's sports can mean to little girls and boys everywhere, but particularly here in Central Indiana. But growing up in Indiana, my dad was a high school basketball coach. I had two older brothers. I played three sports in high school and tennis at DePaul. And sports is just special. It brings people together. It develops unique character and work ethic. And so, and as you mentioned, ultimately I'm an entrepreneur, and I was excited that the owners really valued my business experience and wanted to have someone who had built a company from scratch, knew what it took to get it successful, because what we're ultimately focused on the long-term sustainability of this. Success for us is that Indy Ignite is still a formidable competitor in the professional volleyball league, way beyond us being around. Yeah. So how do we build a successful business is still at the foundation of the role. So it was an intersection of a lot of things I have a lot of passion for. So it quickly became a no-brainer decision for me.
You talk about the popularity of volleyball, but talk about women's sports in general. To put it mildly, I think women's sports just seems to be on such a roll right now on multiple levels. And obviously closer to home here, the Caitlin Clark effect everybody talks about. I was just at a commercial real estate panel I moderated earlier today, and we were talking, it was about downtown development, and they were talking about Caitlin Clark's impact on downtown, just in terms of, activity and revenue and all those kinds of things. Does that spill over a little bit, to what you're doing with volleyball and the just women's sports and the success of the WNBA and other women's sports ventures?
Absolutely. We're so lucky to be here in Indiana, where women's sport, all sports, but women's sports in particular, is a really foundation for our future. I'm sure you saw Indiana Sports Corps release their 2050 vision, and women's sports is a main pillar of that. I believe the Caitlin Clark effect, it is like nothing I think anyone has ever seen before in any industry. But I do think it is I'm Sarah Meyer at the Sports Corps. I coined it, so I'll steal her phrase, but give her credit of this is a movement, not a moment. And I think it's just showcasing the level of athleticism and talent that women's sports has. It's really fun to talk to so many of my friends whose sons are following women's sports as they're growing up in a way that just wasn't what our generation did. It wasn't available. It wasn't status quo. And so we're just setting a whole new standard. And the foundation of that is that there's just really talented female athletes out there that are really fun and dynamic to watch.
Yeah, going to want to talk about some of those talented athletes that will be playing for the Ignite, Indy Ignite coming up. But you mentioned volleyball in particular in terms of what a big volleyball state Indiana is, and the talent here at the college level. I know noteworthy, Purdue and IU recently had a match.
Yes.
Nearly 15,000, a record, right?
Yes. Sold out Mackey Arena and set a Big Ten record.
What players are we going to see playing for Indy Ignite? Who are the players you're going to be drafting? And importantly, you've got the #1 overall pick in the upcoming draft, I think next month in November.
We do, which is really excited to add even more tremendous talent to our team. But we're really excited about the 11 players we've signed thus far. To mention a few, one is Sydney Hilly. She was a University of Wisconsin star, so 5-time All-American, Big Ten Setter of the Year 3 years in a row. And for those less familiar with volleyball, Big Ten is really known as the strongest conference for NCAA volleyball. So that she has a huge following of her own. She's played professionally this will be her 5th year. So she played professionally internationally for 3 years, which before our league was the only choice the athletes had. And then this past year was on the Omaha team, who ultimately won the championship, and she was named the playoff MVP. So really excited to have her in our setter position. We also signed Lekator member Minna, who played at Pitt, which is consistently a top 5 program as well. She played last year in the Atlanta franchise, and I cannot wait for our fans to come see her in person. The power that she has hitting the ball is incredible. She's setting records with her miles per hour on her serve. She's playing down at actually Lekator and Sydney are both playing at Athletes Unlimited down in Arizona right now, and are both stars. So they're getting warmed up before training camp begins for us, and on December 1st. And it's giving the fans something to be really excited about to see in person.
A lot to be excited about. So this is elite talent we're talking about. Give us the description of the league. Pro Volleyball Federation. I don't know if this is a tagline or just something that's part of it. It says real pro volleyball, right? So give us a thumbnail description of the league. I think this will be its 2nd season. The Ignite, a expansion. That's what I'm trying to say, an expansion franchise. But give us the thumbnail description of the league.
Sure. And that tagline comes from really establishing, like, there have been instances of post-collegiate volleyball. The league really wanted to make the mark with that tagline because of the pay that we're providing. I mean, our starting salaries are $60,000 a year and go up to higher than the WNBA goes to right now. And this has meant they are full-time professional athletes. And so that was the mark I think they wanted to make with that tagline. The league was formed in 22, and so spent a year really recruiting the franchises. And as you mentioned, had 1 year of play. That was January to May earlier this year. And it was a great, successful year. There's over 400,000 tickets sold, nearly 4 million views on YouTube. We had 10 games aired on CBS Sports, and we'll be announcing both national and local broadcasting partnerships here soon for this upcoming season. But there were 7 franchises last year. It's in the markets are Orlando, Atlanta, Grand Rapids, Columbus, Omaha, Vegas, and San Diego.
Wow.
So we're the first and only expansion team this year. There are definitely other markets and conversations where the league expects to really grow by 1 or 2 markets every year for the next 3 to 5 years.
So to your entrepreneurial spirit, I guess you want to get on the ground floor of this, it sounds like, and really make a difference for this franchise as part of the league.
Absolutely. We want to set the standard on the court and off the court. Our team is really, on the front office side, has been focused on being that destination franchise, which is we have a great foundation, as I mentioned, with Indiana being a volleyball state. We love our volleyball community here. They've been advocates for us, but we have such a strong sports community as well. We know and trust our Indiana fans are really gonna show up for us. But we're also excited about our ultra modern venue. The seats just over 7,000 here in Fishers. We think it's just going to be the perfect size for a new team. Just really high energy in the stadium itself for the play. And also just the character of the players, the community engagement we have. Like, we're really looking to build just an incredible foundation for years to come. And like I said, compete on and off the court.
Want to talk about the venue in a minute, because it is a state-of-the-art venue that is about to open here in, I think, a few weeks. What can folks expect? Great on-court competition, of course, but any sport, no matter the level, that entertainment piece is an important part of it. What can folks expect when they come to an Indy Ignite game from an entertainment standpoint, in addition to what you'll see out on the court?
Well, yes. So first and foremost, the best volleyball in the world, and hopefully a championship winning team is the plan. But as you mentioned, yeah, we're so excited for the venue. From parking, through to concessions, to really the end-to-end experience is going to be extremely high end. We have a lot of different seating opportunities. It's a club with a private bar. There's loge seating. We're going to have, court side, feet on the court, potentially get hit with a ball, seating that will be highly, highly dynamic. And our team will be releasing really exciting theme nights. We're going to be featuring nonprofits. We're going to be featuring some of our clubs we're so excited about here in Central Indiana. We have some corporate partnerships with really fun on-game activation. We have timeouts, we have set breaks, we have a halftime where we're going to be bringing in. We have a lot of exciting partnerships to share in the upcoming weeks as we release our schedule. But we plan for the fans to be entertained from the minute they walk in the door to when they leave, and including the amazing location, having so many restaurants and bars, and just an experience that's just offers everything you need to have a great night out with your family or friends.
I was going to ask you about that location, and you've talked about it here, but the Fishers Event Center, 7,000 plus seat arena with a lot of activities going to be going on there. Professional volleyball, looks like the potential for indoor football, the Indy Fuel hockey. It's going to be a really active arena. How important is it to the franchise? It's got to be kind of a dream come true to have a franchise starting out and to have a state-of-the-art venue. And as you said, in that Fishers District area where you have so much to do, so much entertainment, restaurants, and those types of things.
It is. I mean, there's in business, there's just some things you can't control. And I think those uncontrollables are huge tailwinds for us, which I mentioned before. Just Indiana is a sport state. It's a volleyball state. Volleyball on a national and global scale is growing incredibly. We have just a couple things about volleyball. Last year, the 2023 NCAA championships had a 1.7 million viewership, which was 120% growth. And just like Mackey, there's arenas all over the nation setting records here in the 2024 season already. So that trajectory is just, up and to the right on viewership. Nebraska set a record for 92,000 attending a match they put in a football stadium last fall, which was really exciting. And it's the number 3 most watched sport on ESPN, just behind men's basketball and men's college football. So just the growth of volleyball, Indiana as both a sports and volleyball state, the support we get from the sports core and the community. And then just kind of that third pillar is this amazing venue that is finished, 60 days before our season began. Definitely falls into that better to be lucky than good sometimes. So we just got a lot of amazing tailwinds, the venue being absolutely one of them.
And that's got to be an added bonus in getting talent for the team there to be in an arena like that, in an area like Fishers and the greater Indianapolis area, probably pretty positive as well.
Absolutely. I mean, many of the other presidents in the league, and even the CEO herself, she wouldn't want to say it, but when she came into town for a press release earlier this year, we didn't have the roof on the stadium yet, and she said, "You guys are going to have the best stadium by far." So it makes a huge amount of difference, and like you said, the recruitment, and also I think that will very much translate to ticket sales and sponsorship sales as well.
Much more ahead with MK Huse, the general manager and president of Indy Ignite, the first women's pro volleyball team in Indianapolis. She's a Hoosier, grew up in Lebanon, multi-sport athlete. We'll talk about that and a lot more when the Business and Beyond podcast returns.
At PNC Bank, we're committed to making a difference in the lives of our customers and communities by helping them move forward financially. As a Main Street bank, we try to do right by our customers with every encounter. Our local teams offer personalized financial advice to help guide you in making the best decision. We're proud to be part of your community. PNC Bank. See how we can make a difference for you at pnc.com. Copyright 2022, the PNC Financial Services Group, Inc., all rights reserved.
And welcome back to the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. My guest this week is Mary Kay Huse, or MK Huse, the general manager and president of Indy Ignite. It's the first women's pro volleyball team in Indianapolis. We'll be playing in the brand new Fishers Event Center, the 7,000 plus seat arena, which is about to open in Fishers and the Fishers district area. A lot of excitement around volleyball in the state, and I know this new professional team is going to ignite some excitement as well. So, MK, you're a native Hoosier. You grew up in Lebanon, and truly an athlete, right? Multi-sport athlete. What was growing up in Boone County like?
I had two older brothers, and I grew up with my dad as a high school basketball coach. So it was a lot of time in gyms and bleachers.
Yeah.
Both my parents grew up there, so it was a great community that everyone knew us for multiple generations. Which, as a kid, you don't appreciate.
Right. Yeah.
But now I can, and I live just down the road now in Zionsville. So it's after living in London and San Francisco, I ended up back in Boone County.
Good to be home, right?
Absolutely.
So what was you played? What'd you play? What sports did you play?
I played volleyball, basketball, and tennis.
Okay. What was your favorite sport?
I think my favorite, you want your favorite to be what you're best at, which doesn't always work out that way. I think my favorite was probably basketball, just because it was ingrained in me from the moment I was born. Yeah. But being able to play at collegiately at DePaul, tennis was really fun.
Yeah. You were able to benefit obviously from Title IX. And I think back to when I was in high school many eons ago, and they're just, women's, the opportunities for women in sport were very limited. That has changed a lot. Even I think from the time you have played, which wasn't that long ago, you benefited. But I think the impact of Title IX, the impact of women's sports is just increased exponentially. How would you assess the state of women's sports as you look at the lower levels, the high school and then and into college?
It absolutely has grown. I mean, the by generation, it has, exponential movement, I would say. This Caitlin Clark effect we talked about before is real, and in women's sports, we had a partnership with the Fever and did a pregame. We turned Bicentennial Plaza into a volleyball court, did a little showcase, and then we did a ball exchange at the Fever game, and we were able to throw out T-shirts, and we threw out the T-shirts that said everyone watches women's sports, and that's all true. It is pretty new, but I think some of the stats I shared about NCAA, with volleyball just in 2023, I mean, the growth of women's sports at the collegiate level, competitive, just real competitive sports, the growth of, I think there was one club that you could play volleyball at as a high school female volleyball player when I was in high school. And now we have 8 in central Indiana, nearly 20 in the entire state. Each of those clubs have 1,000 plus girls playing, and that means they're playing effectively year round. Their school seasons in the fall, their club seasons the spring and summer. And so you just see it's the work ethic, the level of training that's required, it's just a different level of competition than it was when I was in high school. And you're just now seeing that translate up into the professional level as well.
What will the impact, do you think, having professional volleyball here, what impact will it have on young girls getting into the sport? A lot was made when Peyton Manning came here years ago, and the impact that had on high school football and just football development in Indiana. What do you think the impact of professional volleyball, as you again kind of ignite that excitement around the franchise and expose more young girls to this? What kind of an impact do you think it'll have?
Yeah, and I think it'll have an impact on boys and girls alike. I will say there's just nothing like, I mentioned the Fever game. The little girls that are coming out that are already excited and following our players before they've even hit the court here in Market is really incredible. I mean, they're lining up for autographs. They want to hit, they want to pepper with them. And they're just, it's they are super fans and they see these players playing professionally and aspire to do that. And that is something that didn't exist for my generation. And it's one is the incredible opportunity and something to aspire to. I mean, every little boy for generations has grown up wanting to play in the NBA and the NFL. Very few do, but the aspiration leads to work ethic and dedication and consistency. And so I think that is incredible in of itself, that you have something to aspire to, that someone that looks like you is doing something that you can dream of doing and put in the work that it takes to do so. I think what's equally powerful is just what is said as a status quo, that this generation growing up now will see the parity between men and women professional sports as no better word than status quo. I mean, that they won't know anything else. And that is really, really powerful and inspiring.
Okay, you've got the draft coming up, and you mentioned you've got some players signed. Are you looking at what are you looking to add with this number one pick? That's a good position to be in, to have that number one overall pick, right?
It's really exciting. It would be exciting any year. I think, given this is our first year, and then on the NCAA side, it's the last year of COVID eligibility, which means there's effectively almost two classes of talent that we are getting to draw upon. So people in their fourth and fifth years playing collegiately right now is who we're drafting from. And so it's going to be it will be a name-worthy individual that will add a new dynamic to our team, and we're just really excited to bring into the family. But we're really excited. There are 5 rounds of the draft. We're really excited about all 5 additions. We have 11 signed players now. We'll have 18 to 20 in training camp, and 5 of those being rookies, and our final roster will be 14. So there's still competition to be had to figure out what that final roster looks like, to put our best players out on the court, and the players that work together best as a team. So we're so excited about the 11 players we're signed, but the draft is going to be a really important milestone in our formation to build this first team we put on the court.
Okay, talk about timing here, when training camp starts, when the season starts, and again, remind how many games you'll be playing, including how many home matches.
Sure. So we'll have 28 games, 14 home matches. And so some key dates, we'll be releasing our schedule this week, which is really exciting. We have nearly 700 season ticket members already, and we're excited to continue to grow that number. And I know many people are waiting on the schedule to make that decision. So that's going to be exciting, and we'll be able to announce our home opener, which we want to sell out as quickly as possible. So I hope everybody shows up to see our team hit the court for the first time ever. And then we'll have the draft on November 25th, and training camp starts on December 2nd. And it's unique. The NW goes through this same effect where, there will be players. The Final Four is actually just down the road in Louisville this year, and that's December 19th and 22nd. So players that we draft will join the training camp as soon as their collegiate season is over. And that will vary depending on how far they go into the postseason. And then really right after New Year's, opening weekend will be January 9th to 11th. And we're really hopeful we'll be a host for that weekend and kick things off for the year. And we'll play through May. So mid-May, it will be the playoffs.
So that's a nice season, a nice long season.
It is. Yeah. It ends up being, 1 to 2 matches a week. We don't play any back-to-back, just it's a 3 out of 5 set match. So sometimes these matches, if they're really close, and they can go 3.5 hours. So, we want to do right by the players. So we're excited about it. We'll get to play each team 4 times, twice at home and twice in away. And volleyball is such a dynamic sport that it's anybody's game every time you go out on that court. So we're excited to develop some rivalries across the league and get our fans to really start to know the players across the league.
Well, I think the Indy Ignite, Ignite is probably a great a great name because I know you're going to be igniting a lot of excitement around volleyball in Fishers. And I've learned a lot on this 30-minute conversation and learning more about this professional franchise. Very exciting. And I know volleyball fans of all ages are going to be excited to check it out in the new Fishers Event Center. MK Huse, really appreciate you taking the time and hope to see you soon. And we'll be rooting for the Ignite.
Thanks so much. Can't wait to see you at a game.
All right. MK Huse, the general manager and president of Indy Ignite, the first women's pro volleyball team in Indianapolis. And I think they're setting the stage for some real excitement there in Fishers in the coming months. Well, thank you for joining us on this edition of the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. It's a weekly conversation with achievers in business, sports, entertainment, and beyond. And you can download all of our episodes and get Indiana business news 24/7. All you have to do is go to InsideIndianaBusiness.com. I'm Gary Dick. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.